Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jacob, and today's video is going to be a continuation in the series where I talk about studying JavaScript. This is the 28th day in the series, and I got about 10 hours done today, and that puts me at about 171 hours so far in these 28 days. Today I woke up and I reviewed CSS for a while. I reviewed Flexbox and I reviewed Grid, and I also took a look at some of the other CSS drafts that exist. Excuse me, sorry. Um, I reviewed some of the other CSS drafts that exist that talk about things like text and display and positioning. I didn't go very deep into them, but I kind of know of their existence and skimmed over them a little bit, maybe just a little part of them. After that, I was following this one tutorial. I got back into MDN land. With Flexbox and with grid layout. And I decided to go and just hit the code, try and write some code. And again, the code that I'm writing is very much so about stretching my capacity to do things that I didn't do before, to do little POCs or proof of concepts, to challenge myself and to fundamentally try and understand and ingrain in my mind and intuition how rules work and how they combine together, and to build a good intuition about it. I feel like I did a great job doing that today. And of course, if that was the end of the story and I just stopped, I would probably lose a whole lot of what I've uncovered, but that's not the end of the story. Instead, I'm going to use spaced repetition and get it deeper and deeper into my mind, right? So I had some pretty good, I feel like today I've had some pretty decent breakthroughs, to be honest. I solved part of a problem that was the inspiration for doing this entire thing, because a long time ago, if you go back 28 days, I was like, man, I really want to work on this app, and I was trying to work on it, and I was like, you know what really is always blocking me and a pain in the ass is programming the front end, getting it to actually work right, and getting the CSS to display stuff. And I'm happy to say that, like, one of the main challenges that I was thinking about doing, which was making basically you have a box that has text or elements in it and they overflow, right? And so you have a scroll bar. And what you want to do is have the scroll bar start at the bottom of that entire thing. So you're at the bottom element. And then when it goes past the halfway point, it will dynamically fetch more data and append it to the top. This is exactly how Microsoft Teams like chat type system works, right? And how a lot of chats work, where you're brought to the most recent information, and if you scroll up, it will give you more recent information, and it won't move your scroll position as you're doing it, but it'll just keep fetching stuff. Obviously, in my POC, I didn't fetch any data, but I did simulate that in a lot of ways. Other things I was working on, so that was something I was like really kind of didn't know how to do, but and I didn't set out to do that specifically at all. I set out to get better at JavaScript and CSS. But I took a stab at it today and I could actually do it. And what I'm going to do is do a bunch of the exercises I did today again in a couple days, maybe tomorrow even if I want to, but definitely in like a week. I'm going to apply spaced repetition to this for sure because I really want it to get deeply ingrained in my mind. And so one of the things that I've really been playing with is using grid CSS layout as well. And what's cool and what I've been wrapping my mind around more and more is that grid CSS layout and Flexbox and everything is basically usable together. And for a while, I didn't understand this and it was ambiguous to me, but now I feel more comfortable with this. One of the easiest ways to do this is to have a flex container and then have flex items in it, and then inside of each one of those flex items, have a grid. have the item be a grid container, and have it have a grid of items in it. The inverse of that is have a grid container and have grid items, and inside of the grid items have a flex container and flex items. You just basically prove that you can use both of them simultaneously at the same time. And that gives you way more command and confidence over like actually using these tools in ways that are like not just cookie cutter, copy paste from the internet, hope that it works, look up something really quickly on the internet and then like bang your head against the wall, but more like to have really good confidence and control over these things and just whip them together into your custom needs. So that felt really good. It was more of a CSS day for sure. I didn't really play. I mean, there was a little bit. You had to write some JavaScript for the scrolling thing, because you can't do that with CSS alone, obviously. But yeah, I guess another thing that I did was try to get my IDE to get it where like the CSS can be auto completed, and I made progress with that a little bit, but I'm not going to use anything like Tailwind CSS or SCSS for right now. I think I have a good system planned at least. Yeah, I have a pretty good system planned. And yes, I've just been playing with a bunch of this different stuff. And I'm going to keep doing it tomorrow, or I'm going to definitely repeat this, in a week or so. Get the spaced repetition going, man. So what else did I do? Well, I read some documentation to review, but I also read source code, and I started reading React DOM again. So what was I reading specifically? Let me see if I can get here. Yeah, I was reading React/packages/React DOM. A interesting package that, as it stands right now, has 2.46 megabytes and only 226 files. Very interesting. Yeah, so I started reading that. You guys know that I was trying to read through the entire web. Basically, there's this thing called library, and it was library/library desktop. And I got through all the way to like 2.7 megabytes, maybe 2.8. And I might go back to it. I didn't finish it. I definitely learned a lot from looking at it, and I'll probably go back to it. But I want to do something different for a little bit, and React DOM seems like the perfect thing for me. So I'm reading React DOM right now, and my reading comprehension of JavaScript has improved astronomically. Like, I noticed today I could read, so I do fixed speed reading, right? Where, so like, I just basically have a scroll. There's like an auto scroll little web app. I forget what it's called, Chrome extension. And I use that on one of my websites to scroll down the page. And so I set the speed of that, and it'll just go through a bunch of these files that I load from my server and have in my web app. And long story short, it's just a lot of code on different, and it scrolls through them, right? And that's how I read source code, because I got to get through a lot of it. And for a long time, I was doing like slow setting and medium setting, and I like to switch it up because different speeds emphasize different things, different like modes of thought and pattern recognition. But today, what I was noticing is that I was reading at the medium speed, and I was always getting to the bottom of the page. Like I was able to get to, and a lot of the time when you're reading, you can't keep up with it, and so you have to let go of it. And it depends on what you're reading. The more dense the code is horizontally, the harder it's going to be able to keep up with it, right? Because it's fixed scrolling vertical. So if you've got a block of text, that's more information that is getting, it doesn't slow down based on how long the line is, right? So it's just math. So anyways, So I sped it all the way up to the highest speed that I have, and I was able to keep up with it more or less. Like it felt like a serious step forward. And so I'm probably going to be reading on that speed a lot more frequently now, which is going to be good because I'm going to be able to get through more permutations then. And then that probably is going to happen again where I can read even faster. And then there's probably going to be some physical limit that you can't really get past, but definitely worth it to try and speed that up because, in terms of these, reading source code, there's always more source code to read. There's always a greater comprehension to have. And so this speed is incredibly valuable, I would say, to someone like me. So I'm happy about that. And I'm happy about, the different things I was doing, the exploring. Yeah, just a pretty good day, solid 10 hours. And so that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna be here tomorrow too because I have Monday off for Labor Day, and maybe I'll get another 5 6 hours. I don't know. Maybe I'll get another 10 hours in. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I don't keep that. I'll let you guys know. I'm not like crazy hell bent on the time that I put in. I kind of feel like if I only do 3 hours, that's pretty bad. If I do 5 hours, that's kind of more average. If I do 7 hours, is a little bit above average. And if I do anything above 7 hours, I'm pretty much hitting pretty well. And that's something that usually would only happen on a weekend, which is what I'm in now. So I'm pretty happy about that. But, yeah, uh, so that's all I have for today. I guess the last thing I'll say is uh, you guys should take care of yourself. You guys should command and conquer your focus. Don't let the world take your focus away from you and commoditize it and make money off of your attention. I guess that's ironic because that's what's happening maybe right now. But I tend to orient myself very differently than the majority of the internet that I see. I'm pretty transparent about, like, there is a limit to how much utility a viewer could get from watching me, right? So there's this theoretical concept, which is like, and it's not theoretical at all. These people really exist. The ultra fan, right? In some ways, the ultra fan is what all content creators want. They want a fan who spends a lot of time watching them. Now, I recognize that this is like maybe in their favor, like, but probably not. So, from my point of view, I would benefit from having ultra fans, but my ultra fans would be losing. They would be doing a disservice to themselves. How much utility can you really get from watching me on my journey? I mean, some you could maybe be inspired. Like maybe you watch my video for like 10 minutes and then you go and study for like 2 hours or something because you feel pumped. You feel like inspired to do it. You're like, someone else is doing this. I'm going to try and command and conquer my life, right? But then again, we're talking about the hyper fan, which is, what if you just watch videos that I make all day, every day, and that's it? That's not good. That's just going to be a disservice to yourself very quickly. This goes even further because when you think about it, my content is about trying to learn and it's about the journey of doing it. That probably is worth more than a lot of the content out there. A lot of content is very educational, sort of surface level. Um, I said educational, but what I meant to say was is not. I mean, it's mostly entertainment, right? It's like very focused on entertainment, um, and it's usually like surface level, and so these creators are focused more on engagement. One thing you see succeed a lot on YouTube is like cartoons, right? Cartoons, which like have maybe some content behind them, like the creator's ideas or intent or feelings. but they're really just like these funny cartoons that are engaging. Does the audience walk away from this content being better? Do they actually make their lives better after watching the content? Maybe, but probably not. And probably the more content they consume of that variety, the worse their life becomes. Like, if you really think about it in the extremes, it's like um, eventually they're just not even their own human anymore. They're just some other person's eyeballs that are always glued on them. So, anyways, that's something I've thought about. And I reconcile it with basically saying, don't do that. You know, don't waste your time watching someone else if your life is basically not where you want it to be. If you're killing it in life and you're basically already super successful, you can kick back and do whatever you want, right? Um, but if you've got stuff to do in life, you need to prioritize that and try not to waste too much time basically being someone else's dream, right? And that means controlling your focus, and that's how I tie it all back here. And so, you know, uh, do that. So thanks for watching, and you know, I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully I see you at video 100. Hopefully I make it all the way to JavaScript studying day 100. That'll be pretty sweet. But anyways, take care, guys.